Good evening, everyone, once again, and welcome to another session with us on this Azure series. Okay, and if you have been, following the previous sessions, you will see that everything has been hands-on, right? Has been practical, and it's even gives room to more or to better practice when you are on your own lab. Just like some of us have said that we tried it in our lab. So today is not going to be different, right? And we have a very interesting topic today, and that topic is going to be Azure VNet pairing, right? I remember in our last class, Azure Bastion, I mentioned something about VNet pairing. So today we're going to know what it is and how to practically deploy one. So as always, the goal is to keep it simple, to keep it clear and practical so that you can truly understand how it works. And of course, we have someone who has been doing an amazing job, right? Breaking down these topics in a very simple and clear way. And it's no other than Mr. Paul Ogborefo. So I hand it over to you. I hand the session over to you. Please take on. Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you very much, Olive. Thank you, and thank you again. I'm just closing now some of my tabs. All right. So let me know if you can see my screen already.
Yes, it's coming up. It's coming up.
Oh, it took a lot of time. Guys, can you see?
Sorry? Yes,
Hello, Shola. Can you see the screen? Welcome. Please confirm if you can see my screen or. Okay, I guess I'll take that for a yes. All right, so here we are. Today we are dealing on Azure VNet pairing. All right, guys. So yeah, VNet pairing, and as the name implies, we have VNet by the side, and if we have the pairing, it means that you are adding two things together. And in English language, when we say pairing, in most of the cases, it means that you are trying to organize two things that are probably different to come together. They may look alike, but to act and work together, isn't it? That is what pairing on itself is, right? Now, we want to talk about VNet. You remember after a few of our classes, the very first ones, we talked about networking, right? In networking, we talked about it as a form by which our computers communicate with each other. Do we remember that?
yes.
Right? Our devices, our means of our devices to communicate. Then if you now come down to Azure, right? Azure now use the concept of VNet. When you hear VNet, it actually means virtual network, right? Virtual networking. So the idea is the same way you see it in Azure being virtual. Virtual means you cannot see it physically, you cannot touch it physically. While the other network, which we are used to probably in our data centers, in our houses, are those that we can touch. They are just, mere networks. So the concept of Azure is virtual network. So anytime you hear anything virtual network, it is referring to the normal network that you know, right? The network that makes devices to communicate with each other. That is why, if you check Azure very well, if you take note of what happens around Azure, no resource is actually very functional. As a matter of fact, I dare to say that VNet is the backbone of Azure resources, because without it, most of it are not able to perform or function. You want to talk about possible workloads in Azure. You talk about virtual machines that we've dealt with over times. You would also agree with me that a virtual machine that doesn't have a network attached to it cannot be remote into, right? Then we talk about web servers. Like literally, almost nothing is accessible without network in Azure. So virtual networks in Azure are also isolated. We must know that, right? They are isolated. Now look at these virtual machines. I'm going to virtual machines now. I think I have number of it. Okay, they are just three, right? These two may be residing in the same region, but with different network. Let me even see. This one in particular is in which region now? This is in West Europe. And the VNet is coming up, trying to load, I guess. Let me refresh. Okay, let me just say what virtual network provides. Virtual network actually provides private IP addressing, right? It also provides subnets, and it helps with routing. You must have heard about NSG before, even though we've not treated it, right? We are still coming to that with time. NSGs are network security groups that helps secure our resources. This is network can be open to everything. But if you want to further manage how they are being accessed, the resources that are attached to them, you probably will now be talking about NSG. Then talking about the security now, it now tends to say, okay, this should be allowed and this should not be allowed. That is the work of network security, NSG. Now, if you look at this my virtual machine information, you tend to see that the private IP address is 172.20.0.4, right? Now, if you come to the network itself, if you tend to go to the virtual network that it is connected to, right? It is connected to this particular VNet. Let's just take it, a step after the other. Now, this particular virtual network now has its own address spaces, right? And in this particular case, the address space for this is 172.20.0.0, which is /16, right? /16 will obviously give you 65,500 plus IP addresses. This is on its own, right? This is on its own. Now, look at this. This particular VNet is in West Europe. Okay, this is in West Europe. Now, let's look at other virtual machines. We are still coming back to virtual machine. 172, that is the other, what is it called? The private IP. Now, let's come to this. If you come to this VM now, this is also in West Europe. Interesting. The both are in West Europe. Now, look at this IP, 172.3.0.4. Now, this IP differs from the one of the other one, right? Though they are in the same region, but because they are not connected together in the same network, even though they look alike, right? They will not be able to communicate. And even now, this is another case. We are talking about isolation now. Virtual network are isolated resources in our Azure environment. Nothing really concerns one with the other. Now, you see this particular machine in West Europe. The other one is in West Europe, but with different private IP addresses, means they cannot communicate. Now, even if they have address space, right, and they found themselves in different regions, they would not be able to communicate. And there are situations whereby your organization, let's say we have organizations that have branches in different regions. I know a lot of them that have a branch in Nigeria, have a branch in South Africa. I know a lot that has a branch in Lagos, then another in Abuja. I know some that have a branch in Ikeja and another in Yaba. As a matter of fact, I know of organization who has a branch in Yaba phase 1 and another in Yaba phase 2. Now, they are both in almost the same locality, right? But now something is missing. They are using different network. Mind you, they are in the same, they are one organization, meaning that there will be a need for these two organizations to be able to communicate with each other. The devices in organization A should be able to communicate with the devices in organization B, right? Now, how do you get that? How do you achieve that? That is where your VNet peering comes into play. Your VNet peering will now say, okay, you are part of this guy, you should be able to recognize each other. You are part of this guy, you should be able to recognize each other. If a message is coming from A to B, let nothing obstruct it. You can proceed and just, flow along, right? Again, this is because it is on the cloud, right? And that is why we keep making use of VNet. In on-premises environment, in a physical data center, there's what we call routing and remote access. Now, routing and remote access performs almost the same function with VNet peering, right? Okay, when you, I don't know if I'll be able to, okay, I'm not sharing my full screen. You may not be able to see that. Let's just proceed to create VNet peering. One thing that we should also understand is VNet peering does not, it's not possible with just a VNet, right? There must be another VNet to be able to connect each other together. So first thing we need to do is to create two VNets. That's where we'll start from. We are going to create two virtual networks that we will pair together, right? We'll pair together. Now, what happens is if you pair this, let's just quickly create two, right? So I will just do this. Then I'll give it a network. Let's just say a name rather. Let's say VNet A. VNet A. Where do we put this? Let's put this in East US, right? We are going to create them in different regions, in address space. Do we want to proceed with this? Yes, we can. Let's just proceed with 10.0.0.0. Again, another thing I must let you know is if you must pair two networks together, the two IP addresses must not overlap. What do I mean overlap? You see this network here, 10.0.0.0. The other network must not be 10.0.0.0, right? It can either be 10.1, it can be 172 dot whatsoever, it can be 192 like that, right? But the both must not be the same IP address space, right? So we are proceeding with this. Then we would next just review, and then we will quickly create this. So this in particular is in East US. While it's loading, I could actually just, open another tab and start creating the order. Don't know why the validation is taking a whole lot of time. Okay, the validation is fast, right? Okay, that is in A. Okay, so VNet, the other is deploying. Let's quickly create another one. I will name it VNet B. Let's stick with this and let's turn the, make this, let's even make it Africa, right? South Africa not. And then we'll just change the address space. This time we can use 192.168.0.0. Yes, /16. So we can proceed with this. And then we just review. Okay, this is great. Let's just go to the resources while this is reviewing. Now, we have a new VNet that is created. This VNet now is standing on its own and is fully isolated, and it has one subnet by default. While this guy that is preparing, okay, is another VNet entirely standing on its own and has its own subnet as well. Ideally, guys, for no reason would they have been able to communicate. I mean, if you should provision a VM right now, and then you attach this particular VNet, this VNet to it, and then this other guy, you provision another VM here, you will not be able, the two VM will not be able to reach each other. Never. If you go to say ping and then you put the IP address of this other machine, it will just be looking at it and say host not found. They can't relate, right? So this is what happens now. We are now going to pair from VNet A to VNet B. Right now, if you come here, we are already used to this. This is the activity log of what has happened within the VNet since its creation. We have the IAM where you control the roles and all. But our business today is focused on settings. We see address space, we see connected devices, we see subnets, and then we see bastion, and the likes, a lot of other settings. Here is where we are going to pay our attention to. Yeah, you see pairing, right? Now, this is pairing. What are we going to, what we are going to do is to click on add the pairing link name. Don't be confused with the link, right? The link is just you saying from here to here. The actual sense is you should have your own kind of nomenclature of naming your link. For example, now in this case, just so you know where you are coming from and where you are going to, right? Now I am configuring from VNet A. Mind you, you can actually configure from any end. So we decided to start from VNet A, right? If you do VNet A, right? I can say to VNet B. To VNet B. That is just it, right? This is just it. Now, the pairing type. You see, in the pairing type, we have virtual network and we have subnet. I think this changed very recently. It used to be a virtual network and legacy. What is it called now? They'll tell you classic, which is the legacy setup that Azure used to have. But now I think they've gone further to break it down in the way that you can actually choose to pair only subnet rather than the full network. I think this is just to further contain a kind of security measure, right? That is the essence. Rather than exposing your full network, you may choose to want to just, link only a subnet within your network, right? So, but in our own case, we are going for the virtual network, right? Now, we say we are moving from A to B. And with subscription, if you have multiple subscription, you can come and you select your subscription. Then which virtual network do you want to pair with? Don't forget, we are already in A. If we should pick A here, it will give us error because already you are in A. You can't pair A plus A, right? And here you say select a different virtual network. If a virtual network cannot be paired with itself, right? So you have to go to another network. And this time we are pairing with VNet B. All right. Now we have established this. What then do we want the pairing to be able to do? You can, further streamline what you want the setup to be able to do with themselves. In this case, you see the first option here, which says allow VNet B to access, VNet A. If you must get the full understanding, I will always say this again and again. You needed to do is just to come to this more information arrow and then you read further. It says select this option to allow traffic from VNet B to A. This settings enables e.g. communication between hub and spoke. In hub and spoke network topology and allows a VM in VNet A, in VNet B to communicate with VNet B. So in essence, we are still coming back to what we know as hub and spoke. But for now, let's just stick to pairing, right? Now, what if I check this place? Resource in VNet B will not be able to communicate with resource in VNet A. It's not possible, right? Maybe I don't want them to communicate. I have other reasons why I want them to pair. Not majorly not for communication. It could be for forwarded traffic. It could be for gateway, right? It could just be for anything. But for our own case now, in fact, in most of the cases, this guy is always very, very essential because I don't see, personally though, I don't see why you want to pair networks without, communication in essence. So once you check this, you will see that communication will be possible between those two networks. Then if you want one traffic forwarded to another to be able to reach each other, then you do this. Mind you, this is the first pairing, right? This one is, let's say, allow VNet B to access VNet A, meaning that VNet A is not even allowed to access VNet B in this case. Do we understand? This now is only allowing VNet B to access A. A is opening the door for it. A, come in. But B has not opened his own door to say come in, right? Then you now move down a bit. When you move down a bit, you now see local virtual network summary. This one now will now be the reverse case of the initial setup that we've done. The reverse case, is I'm still going to use the same name, but this time around, the link is not moving from B to A. So I'm going to be like, hey, move from B, move from A to B, right? This is the destination now. So this guy, this is the local virtual network pairing settings. And why this other guy is the remote network settings. The remote, as you can see, B is the remote. The local, the network itself is the A, right? So from here, you set again. Maybe you want A to be able to access B, but the network and the forwarded traffic to B should not go to A. Whichever way, you can just check and maybe uncheck depending on your needs, right? Even this, we cannot make use of this gateway because we do not have a gateway and virtual network at the moment configured in this VNet, in either of the VNet, right? So once we do this, now notice one thing, I'm going to click on Add. Usually there will be a notification popping up here to say you have carried out or you are carrying out certain activities, right? And you can see some of the things that we've done so far from this pane. So if I hit on Add, I'm expecting they ought to be 2. I don't know why it's showing just 1. Adding virtual network pairing VNet B to A to okay. They've actually done a lot of changes. Usually the two should just come up at the same time, but you see them running differently. One pairing is done, the other pairing, is coming up. Meanwhile, we only carried out one activity per se in the setup, but they have to, go ahead and do their thing differently. Now look at it. This is how you know that your pairing has been rightly configured. You see the sync status now fully synchronized, meaning it is up to date, up and running, and you can see the status here, and the pairing status is what connected, right? We have VNet A. The remote virtual network name is what? VNet B. And if you check this guy here, network gateway, we did not enable it, right? And so we have what? Disabled. Cross tenant is also no. Right now, if you come to VNet B, remember we did not carry out any settings from here, right? Then if you come to these settings too, and you come to pairing, if you come to pairing, you automatically see it up here as well. Now, this one is now saying VNet A to B, right? And this one is saying VNet B to A. You see the differences in name. That was how we arranged this, and that is how it's showing. And this time around, this B becomes the local network, right? And the remote network is connecting with is VNet A. And of course, the gateway is no. And that is that. Our pairing is done. It's as easy and simple as this may seem, right? It has solved a significant problem. Like you see, one of the VNet is in South Africa, African region per se, while the other one is in East US. Just imagine you having some employees in US and you have some employees in Africa, and they need to communicate, or their system need to communicate, or there need to be a central unit of communication or management. But because of that lack of communication, it will be very hard for you, right? But with just this simple pairing, you will be able, or you have been able to solve a whole lot of problems. Mind you, again, this is for a simple organizational setup. There are instances where, let me take, for example, banking industries. A lot of banks, 10 branches within only Lagos. Now, those branches may be using different network across. How do you tend to manage them together? And you see here, this is just connecting to virtual network. I tell you, you can configure another one, right? You can add another one. Let's say we have VNet C. Let's say we have VNet C, and you go ahead to, oh yeah, VNet B, you are here, pair with VNet C. You pair comfortably. But you see one magic that is here is VNet pairing is not transient. It's not transient in the sense that if VNet A is connecting with VNet B and VNet B is connecting with C, that does not give room for VNet A to communicate with VNet C. I don't know if I'm making sense. They would be independent of their own pairing. So what now happens is you have multiple addresses or multiple networks to pair. What do you do? What is the best option? What can you do rather? What can you do? You make use of other options, right? There's an option that is called mesh network. Mesh network. If you go to your Google and search mesh network and check for their image, you'll be able to see something. Now, look at this. It says a mesh network is a decentralized network where each node connects directly to multiple other nodes, enabling efficient self-healing and scalable data transmission. Now, the node is this. Anytime you hear nodes, right? Node is actually referring to a device. Now, take device to be a network, right? And now look at this. The keynote here is what? Multiple sorry, each node, take it from here. Each node connecting to directly to multiple other nodes. And if you check our VNet pairing, it's just from one node to another node, right? It cannot go beyond to connect other for other to if A should go and connect C, there's no way you would do is that A to connect C to connect B. Like all of them should just be working like that, like magic, communicating with each other. It is always direct to direct, right? Now let's check images and see what we can possibly have. Okay, here we are with mesh networking. Let's take this. Now, if you check this image, right, this is one computer, this is second computer, this is third computer. You know, these computers are like this. If you check, only this computer up here is connecting with this guy, and the same time is connecting with this guy. Meanwhile, it's still connecting with this guy, and it's still connecting with this guy. Like, it's literally connecting with every other computers that are there. Now, take each of the computer to be network, right? Take it to be network. And that is how it keeps connecting. But this can be a bit difficult in managing, right? It can be a bit difficult in the sense that you want to control this computer reach, you want to control, it can be messy. As a matter of fact, if you look at this center now, the middle of it, let's assume this is a physical network, you'll just be seeing wires passing through, going through this and this, going through here to there. You know, the wire will just be bunky within this space like this. And anytime you want to probably make connections, you need to be tracing where one is coming from. It can be a bit difficult, right? Now, because this can, yes, it's better. I can connect more networks together, you know, seamlessly without issues, right? Yet, it's not a kind of recommended way to connect, you know, larger network. That is why we also have what we call hub and spoke. Right? If you go to hub and spoke network topology, you see a kind of setting. This time around, I say the hub and spoke model is a network topology where a central hub connects multiple spokes, right? Allowing for efficient communication and management. Now look at it. When you hear hub, when you hear hub, I think we should, okay, let's just go. When you hear hub, it's referring to a network. When you hear spoke, it's referring to a network. But now, they function differently. A hub is, look at it, central hub. The keynote here is this central, right? Now, it is central because it is a network that is centered, right? It is just positioned there for other networks to connect. Those networks, look at this again, multiple spokes. These spokes now, they are various other networks that will be connected to this guy, this central hub, right? And then the central hub will now be the one managing the communication that goes around with the multiple spokes, the multiple other networks. You see it here, allowing for efficient communication and management. Let's see what the networks look like and what enables them to speak. Now look at this. We have this network, and we have the hub. Now, this hub is just standing here as a network. What makes it an hub is inside there, there is a router that is configured inside of it. There will be a dedicated IP address. In most cases, we use we call them gateway, right? You configure a gateway network here. That's why if you configure any network in any virtual network in Azure and you are creating a resource under them, the first one usually takes .4. And Azure will reserve about 5 for itself. So in this center, there will be a .1. That .1 will be the gateway. That is what you said. Now, what that gateway means is that is where the communication will be centered on, and it will be in charge of distributing communication, right? If this is .1, right, and this is usually .0 is the network, right? And let's say this one starts from 4, this one starts from 5, this one starts from 6, like that. Now, if 4 needs to speak with 6, right, 4 will send a message. The message will route or will come to the network gateway. The network, we know what a router is, right? It routes messages. It will come to the gateway, which is this hub. And the hub will look around to say, okay, where are you going to? Where do you want to communicate, or what node do you want to communicate with? It will now say, okay, it is 6. Oh, it's 6. Oh, yeah, go straight to 6. Then it will come here and communicate with it. If you say, oh, I need to speak with 7, it will come here. And if 7 say, please, I need to speak with 18, it will just go, but it will always come to this hub first to say, please help me deliver this message, and the hub will just pick it up. Now, if you must do any management, it becomes easier. You come to this hub, right, to do your configuration, and you see it very, very efficient, manageable, and wonderful. I think basically that is all. We have created a virtual network, and then we've created a virtual network pairing, right? I would have, if not for time, I would have loved to create a resource as simple as a VM, right? To try to ping each other. I would have loved to do that, but because of our time, I would leave that for you to do on your own. I will ensure, please, you can hit me up. I will ensure your account is up and running latest on Monday. For clarity's purpose, I'm going to sign into this device. I've turned it on already, so I'll remote to it. This server's IP is okay, 192.168.20.2. That is the server's IP. Let me do CMD terminal. If can as well use terminal, Okay, now let me say IP config. I want to really get the IP config, right? If I enter, you see that the IPv4 address is 172.20.0.4. And then you see another IPv4 addresses that is 192.168.20.1. These are two different IP addresses. Ideally, they shouldn't be able to communicate each other, right? They shouldn't be. But because of some kind of settings and because I see this default gateway is 172.20.1. And it is because of this guy that's now if I should send any message out from this guy, it will reach this guy and send it to this guy. If I do ping, if I should ping and I do 192.168.20.6, I think 6 and 5 is on. Yeah, 5 is on. You see it's pinging, right? This is how it should look like if your network is pinging, if your machine is pinging with one another. Now, if I should go ahead and do ping, which network am I pinging? I can't ping .1. If I do 172.20.0.1 and I enter, I'll not be able to ping it because that is the gateway. Let me just stop that. And I would have loved to ping 2, but I don't think I have any device that has 2. Right, so I'm not expecting this to go through. You see it now. If you check very well, right, this is replying from, check the difference. This is replying from 172.20.0.4. This machine is .4, right? This is Azure machine. But because of configuration I did here, when I did 192, it's reaching it's reaching this guy, which is on different network. Yeah, it's reaching it. Look at this one that they are even on the same network. .4 is not existing. That is why you see destination host unreachable. But here you see request timeout. Request timeout means that is it that the machine is off or you can't ping it? This one, primarily why I can't ping it is because it's the default gateway from Azure. Originally, I would not be able to ping it, right? Now, let's go and check this other machine. Although it is off, so it should give us request timeout, right? Originally. So if I come to check for its private IP, and then I come here, and then I paste. Now, okay, they are still in different network. However, if I should enter, ping. If I should enter, it will tell me request timeout. It can't reach it ever. But if I should go and configure pairing between these two devices, it should change to this guy. Sorry, to this other guy up here, to this guy. So what I want you to do again, create two virtual network, right? After creating them, create two virtual machines, attach them to the different networks, and ensure that the networks are in different region, and each virtual machine should be in the same region with the virtual network you're attaching them to. Then at the end of the day, try the pinging. But before you come to pinging after pairing, first of all, try to ping before the pairing, get the differences in the results, put it in documentary. I rest my case there. Thank you.
I'm short of words. Thank you very much for this informative, mind-blowing session. I really learned a lot, and I'm sure everyone on the call did. We went as far as explaining hub and spoke, mesh network, VNet peering, even explained how pinging works. Yeah, it was actually like education field. I really learned a lot. Thank you very much. So right now we're jumping into questions. I don't know if we have any question. Do we have questions? If you have, please unmute and ask. Nobody's speaking. That means we don't have any question. All right, then, if no one has, so that will be all from us. And please don't forget to practice what you learned today. And just as Paul said, practice, post, and put yourself out there. Okay. So thank you very much for staying with us to the end of this session. See you in our next session. Thank you very much, and do have a wonderful day.